Welcome back to the talk, and we are talking matters corruption. Is Kenya hopelessly corrupt? And Danish is here to help us understand this more. Danish,
yes.
You know, there's a report that was given in about, you know, the results were just released the other day.
Yes.
And there's a statement here that corruption at the Kenyan National Examinations Council, NEC, is to blame for the high number of cases of exam irregularities in Meru County. Leaders, that was now the leaders of Meru County who were speaking, and they also say that the county was ranked third behind Makweli and Nairobi among counties with the highest number of cheating cases in the 2015 KCSE results. And my question to you know, the question that hits my head is, if the students are coming out knowing very well that you started cheating way back, what kind of a crop of generation are we bringing up?
Extremely sad. But there's something about mentorship and something about emulating people. They say that if you're a father, however much you want your son to turn out in a different way, it will not be possible, regardless of how much you tell him. Your son will only be as good as you are. That's the same way. If our politicians and the leaders we put in office actually they show power and they show money and they put on blings and they behave in a certain way, that becomes very marketable to a very young mind. And therefore the only thing that anybody aspires to be is rich and powerful, because you know that when you have power and when you have money, of course you can buy your way out of any scandal, you can fly out when there's post-election violence, you can take your children to good schools, and then money becomes the highest ambition that most people then have. How then do you get money? Is to cheat yourself out of a system, KCSE, get a good grade, go to the university, struggle your way through more Kenya, then get a job, because you know that the only way for you to actually get out of the vicious circle of poverty and pain that you're in is through education, which is wrong. In other progressive societies, what is put as the highest, you know, right now we're talking about Mark Zuckerberg, is the sixth most richest man in the world. He's only 31 years old. In that part of the world, they put emphasis on innovation. You must be innovative. You must provide a solution for an existing problem in your community.
So you suggest we should do an overhaul of all this?
So the problem is, as we are actually putting the highest esteem and value on money, which is extremely fleeting, but when we put value on innovation and on character and on providing solutions to the existing problems of our community, we will make money. If we innovate a system, we will make money. If we provide for, you know, global warming solutions, we will make money. If we come with a system, we will make money. Like, there are many ways of making money. So my problem is that the curriculum that has been used over the past 50 years is a colonial system, because then we need to overhaul that entire system. Because the system churns out employees, the system does not churn out employers. The system churns out people who are corrupt, who the only thing that they aspire to be is rich. But rich is very relative, because you can be rich and poor at the same time. Your poverty of values, poverty of dreams, poverty of ambitions, but then you think that now because I can own a few plots here and there in Syokimau or wherever, then I think I'm good to go. But I want to tell every young person that the highest price should be on innovation. The highest price should be on values. The highest price.
Passionate values, I love that.
On personal values.
Now, thanks for that highlight, and I hope that the students who are there, even know that you cheat, you know, don't think you'll cheat all the way in life.
You won't.
Yeah, it's a quite sad state of affairs, but we hope that there will be an overhaul. Now, moving forward, we have people, I would want to call them the sound minds of Kenya, who have been really trying to say, listen, we can do something out of this. But before we go there, I want us to talk of the political elite that we have in the country. We have our top, you know, of course, the government, and of course, we have the opposition. And there are some voices saying all these people are tainted. Would you want to expand on this?
True. I'll use allegations that have been put against
That's
them.
okay.
It's alleged that co-principals in the coalition,
The three, yes, we have Honorable Kalonzo,
alleged to be part of the raid of the Standard Group. It's alleged that he was in power for many years, never did anything for his county and for his constituency. The Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga was mentioned in Kazi kwa Vijana alleged scandal.
Yes,
he was also mentioned in the maize scandal. He was also, you know, been alleged to be selling the tickets of his party to the highest bidder.
We have molasses
molasses. We've got Wetangula, who was mentioned in the Japan, you know, land embassy scandal.
But he's very vocal about matters corruption.
Yeah, it was supposed to have saved the taxpayers 1.1 billion shillings. Recently, he was actually found guilty of bribing voters. And he actually faced IEBC, where his voter registration status was actually going to be struck, but of course it was subject to their judgment. Of course, they returned him. Go to the other side. The deputy president has been linked to the Western Hotel, the Langata Road Primary School land. We've got His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who's been accused of using the state to propagate his personal businesses. When Buhari was in Kenya, he toured Brookside Dairy.
Yes.
He also, when they went to Uganda, to negotiate for beef and milk. It's a non-secret that he's one of the suppliers of beef and milk in Kenya. If you talk about, somebody like Aden Duale has just been mentioned in a sworn affidavit in a court of law right now that he was actually a beneficiary of the NYS scandal. Charles Keter, the guy who's, Alfred Keter, the loudest member of parliament from Nandi, was recorded on camera telling us they were calling them funny names and trying to bribe his way to get some lorries to be
out
moved.
of the place.
So can Kenyans now see the true colors of people who are fighting every day? Because wanasema fali wawili wakizozana nyasi ndio umea.
Danish, the question is this now. Is it that we don't have sound people at all in the leadership? And is there hope? Because if the opposition is that tainted, and even the government of the day is that tainted, who shall save us?
I said a while back that
Marky, we're about to vote.
It seems like we have a Stockholm syndrome, where the people who oppress us are the ones we love. Because I'm telling you, all those top leaders, they are Kenyans who are willing to die for them. Today, if you say, how many of us are willing to die for the right Honorable Raila Odinga? A number of them will present themselves.
You can't miss a few.
Take our lives. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, take our lives. William Ruto, take our lives. Now the problem is, should we then now begin to say that the people who are following them, because then the quality of leadership is only as good as the quality of the followers. If the followers themselves are not equipped with information regarding their leaders, how then can they make any informed decision whether to support them or not? And I can tell you this, Maina Chege. In Kenya, why corruption is a problem is because of their allegiance. First of all, our allegiance begins in the family level. You can defend your brother even if he's a thief. Then our allegiance now grows to the clan level. The clan level, my clan, my clan, my clan. Then the allegiance level grows to the tribe level. Then last but not least, it is the national level. Now you see the problem. So people will always run back to their communities, they will always run back to their families, they will always run back to their clans. But if we had a nation, when the nation comes first, it is Kenya first, my tribe last. It is Kenya first, my clan last. Because your clan is only existing within a country. But then that is what we are lacking in this nation, a sense of patriotism. How we say, at the end of the day, I will not vote for this person, whether he's from my tribe, whether he's from my clan, whether he's from my family. And I'm telling you the truth, I will personally lead this war. I will not vote for anybody from my community simply because they're from my community. Because at the end of the day, you must ensure me that Danish Odongo, I am willing to give you this and this and this. Because right now we are enjoying the dual carriageway. We're enjoying a very good state of roads in this country. We are enjoying, actually, some of the best stadiums that we have in this country. We are enjoying amenities. How many of us do not want those things? How many of us want to get stuck in the old Stone Age?
No, we don't.
But those things can only come based on the qualities of leaders that we put in place.
Now the question is, Danish, is there any leader that we can say this is the Messiah?
Let them rise up. I'll give you, I'll have the Bible and I will quote the Bible.
Yeah.
I hope it's okay.
It's okay.
When Elijah had finished the prophets of Baal, 850 to be specific, and he ran away, and then told God, you know what, God, by the way, I'm the only prophet who was alive, and they've killed every prophet. God told him, no. I've preserved over 7,000 prophets who have not knelt down to Baal. Let us not claim that this nation, 42 million of us, are all corrupt.
Yeah.
We are the only ones who choose the ones who are corrupt.
But maybe they're not coming out.
They're coming out, but they don't have money to pull up a campaign that the people who are, who have gotten their money through corrupt deals have, or the people who have got a family lineage have.
But they, Danish, I think I know of one.
Yeah.
There's an institution called Third Way.
Yes.
They're saying the first way of the government, the second way of opposition can never help us. But there's a third way.
Yes.
Yes, and I know a gentleman there called Ekuru Akot. He hasn't come out straight.
I wish them all the very best.
Yes.
I wish them all the very best. But I want to tell you something.
Yes.
That winning elections is not just a matter of rhetoric. It takes strategy. I want to urge every single leader who believes that they have something different to offer, not to just hope and dream that one day things will change. I'm told that the Maasais believe that they dropped down from heaven to come here. That in their myth. The times of myths are over. Right now, we're only dealing with facts. So, if the third way wants to change the nation, then you want to see more of their activities. What is their media presence? What is the campaign strategy that they're doing? What is the civic education that they're doing? Are they doing everything it takes for them to change us? Because at the end of the day, I'm telling you the truth. Even if a leader is good, but at the end of the day, we are a democracy. The majority will have their way, and the minority will have their say. So we must always know how politics work. Personally, I hope that one day I will present myself and change my community and change my country. But right now, I'm doing something to do that. In the near future, we'll be doing things to do that. But many of us who are good just hope that, because I'm a good man, I hope that Kenyans will actually begin to judge me and see how good I am. And they will come and say that, Odongo, come and lead us. My friend.
Danish, I want to introduce this. I know you did a lot of homework on the Eurobond scandal.
Yes.
And you actually met the permanent secretary?
Yes, Dr. Kamal Thuge.
Yes, and you came up with a very good article about the entire thing. And in one word, the Eurobond scandal was a hoax?
Extremely exaggerated hoax. It is an extremely exaggerated hoax.
So it was a way of just getting political mileage for the opposition?
I would not say that, because that is exactly why they exist. Every politician will actually look for anything to milk political mileage, which if they do that, that's okay.
Do you think, Danish, they're just yapping? Because look at this. I read a tweet from a gentleman called, I'm forgetting his name. I just checked on Facebook, and he was saying this. He's called Nyachai.
Yeah.
He was saying this. Listen, the opposition looks like it's an axe cutting on one end and not on the other side, because if any of the members is caught up in any of the scandals, for example, these allegations of the bribery, they have said nothing about it.
Of course.
But when something happens on the other end, they will put enough pressure like you've never seen before. Is it that these people are just biased in themselves?
No, those are politicians. Because you remember very well in the 2005 referendum, the current president, Muigai Uhuru Kenyatta, was in the opposition, and the student opposed the constitution. They was actually very vocal against corruption in Mwai Kibaki's government. It's just that the place where the opposition finds itself now, they need to be the voice that then will speak against corruption in the government. The government finds a chance, they will speak against corruption in the opposition. So those are politicians, and for me, really, I've learned
it's a game.
It's a game. Whoever will convince the masses that they're the best will win. That is pretty much it.
Okay, quick one on this as well. The president, with all due respect, he's done a lot in terms of speaking very loud about against corruption. But is he helpless?
He's not helpless. He's not helpless. Like I told you, I want to read something very brief here.
That's okay.
Corruption is it's an ill. It's a societal ill. It's a moral problem. There's just much you can do about morality. But then we can touch a glimpse and see what the president is doing to cut down on corruption. 337 cases are in court as we speak.
337.
68 of them are of senior Kenyans, including members of parliament. We're talking about governors. We're talking about cabinet secretaries. 5 of them, the CSS, have been fired. They are home. It's unprecedented in the history of this nation. In 2015 Jamhuri Day celebrations, he actually said that corruption is a monster. It is corrosive. Corruption is running this country down. But then we continue to take the things that the media says by hook and line. I'm part of the media, and I want to tell you very well. The another thing that the head of state has done is that it was forced that every single person who does business with the county government and the national government must sign a business code of conduct. And any bank that is found to be culpable in money laundering charges would surrender their license, and at the same time their directors held personally liable for the crimes that were committed. Now, that is the much that the head of state can do. He can say that here is the list of shame. Hand over to Parliament, who then will hand over to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. That is the much he can do. After that, the EACC will investigate, take the file to the Director of Public Prosecution, who will take it to the DCI, and then there are courts. So it's a chain, it's a whole chain. If we want to call on President Uhuru Kenyatta to be the person who then will receive your file and prosecute and take you to jail, then he has failed. but because we have got independent institutions who
Definitely.
have been empowered and have been given much autonomy to do their work as of the principle of separation of powers as envisioned in our constitution. I'm telling you the truth. The honest truth is this. The president is doing all he can.
Wow.
The president is doing the much he can.
Because his hands are tied, he cannot do other things as well.
Yeah,
on the other side.
unless we want him to be the judge, we want him to be the police, we want him to be the DPP, we want him to be the DCI, then we are going back to dark days where we have an imperial president. And these people who are calling on him to be an imperial president are the ones who campaign for a constitution that remove power from an imperial presidency.
Danish, the media, you're part of it.
Yes.
Have they been pocketed?
I can be very categorical to tell you that yellow journalism is real in this country. Yellow journalism is in this country is very real. Yesterday, the editor, the public editor of the Daily Nation actually wrote a story of a journalist in Nakuru County who actually took photos of the police taking bribes and went and used it as blackmail and manipulation, and then said that if you don't, we'll take the story to the nation, to be published in the Nation.
Daily Nation.
Galava, the editor of Nation, was actually allegedly fired from instruction from State House. Of course, that's what's alleged. It's alleged that most of these editors are in different camps. You know very well, it's public knowledge that one of the greatest media houses in this nation was aligned to one principle, and the other was on the other side. So then, how then do we hope for objectivity? How then do we hope for objectivity if we know that this media house belongs to this part, this media house belongs to this part? Because he who pays the piper calls the tunes. And I'm telling you the truth. Yeah, that is a reality. That is a reality.
The question is this, Danish, what about the activists that we have, the John Gidongos and the Minor Kais, are they giving us sound pieces?
Oh my goodness, now you've opened a Pandora's box. You've opened a can of worms that I don't know if you're going to deal with that.
Go ahead, make it straight, make it straight.
First of all, where are our activists getting their money from?
But maybe they're just independent, they're just writing.
Independent? How can you be independent 365 days in a year? How will you finance your activism if you don't have anybody financing you? I want to call on Kenyans. Let us begin to examine all these activists. Where are they getting their money from? Who is financing them? Are they being financed by people who have, who want to portray a nation in a certain way for them to benefit? Do you know that corruption is an enterprise? Do you know that even painting the nation negative is an enterprise? Do you know that even politics is an enterprise? Everything is an enterprise.
Somebody's making
so there are guys who are actually called to portray the nation on a negative light, and that's all they do. Even if Kenya today became a first world country, there are guys who will still want to call it negative. And of course, they have got a position in the democratization process of our nation. They're doing an extremely good job. Activists are actually part of the people who have actually helped to usher in the third liberation that the nation has. So they've done extremely well. But because they've done extremely well, there are a certain section of activists who are actually outrightly corrupt. They're the ones who are taking money from donors. They go and make presentations in dingy houses in the States and in the European countries, and then they portray a negative image of our country for them to make money. Now, those are not real activists. Now, those are corrupt people who are using activists to make their own money.
Danish, I can't fail to ask this because you're touching on the media and all these activists, and it's very sad to hear that. What happened to our investigative journalists? Do you have information?
Now, this is just a speculation, allegation.
What's a speculation? Yes.
It's a known secret that some media houses used to use their investigative journalists to pounce on business rivalry. So, Mena Chege, you have a leading business of trade, assuming that you're doing ivory or you're doing ivory. That is the trade. But then must is gold, and probably you have computers, accessories in town. But then I want to bring you down. I'll then come and look for an investigative journalist who then will come and dig down that from you to bring you down. Is that wrong? It's not wrong, because that is witch hunt, and that is not wrong. But then the objective of any journalist is to be objective.
Yeah.
You understand the calling for us to be as objective as possible.
But Danish, are you not sure these people were threatened maybe, or because I haven't had a statement coming out yet, or because I think they did a great piece of work and Kenyans were really followers of, you know, what is going to be exposed next. We've seen companies like, you know, track it, I mean, shut down and so, you know, and many other things. I mean, where are we now? They are no longer there and we're no longer seeing these things happening.
Minor.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment. But just
It's
do your
okay.
history, do your research very well on
Yeah.
the report that was done on Somalia.
Okay.
Do your report that was done on the Al-Shabaab attack. Do your report that they did on the Westgate. You know.
There's something out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's too much credibility issues on those investigative pieces.
We'll take that your way. Transparency International,
Yes.
you know, was trying to tell us what needs to happen in to propel Kenya's fight against corruption. And I looked at it and I can just mention 2 points. You know, independent audit of corruption complaints and conviction and recovery of assets are the real measure of success. But I was thinking these things are already there. And I'm wondering, even the private sector in itself, Transparency International, for example, are they really, you know, just, you know, reinventing the wheel, or are they bringing out something that we are not doing? What do you make of that?
If you want to know a perception index is a subjective way of measuring corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Subjective in this way, it is not quantitative. We cannot statistically prove that, yes, this country is this corrupt. And there are many things that affect a perception. One of it is media freedom. Second is how the citizens are educated, educational levels. And we're talking about some of those things that eventually affect a perception. Now, if assuming that we take country A and country A has a media that is free, has a citizen that speaks much, and then country B has a very muzzled media and has literacy levels that are high. Mm-hmm. Country B will look like it is less corrupt as compared to country A, which actually has, you know, a lot of media freedom and citizens are actually educated. That is the case of Kenya and other countries.
There's a lot that can be said.
Perception index. Mm-hmm. When the media constantly reports on corruption issues, it is a good thing because that is part of the democracy that we're enjoying right now. But then when you come and find out allegations are reported every day, you're likely to believe that your country is more corrupt as compared to a country that, even though corruption levels are extremely high, but no media highlight them because there's no media freedom. Now, that is what a perception index is.
All right. We have
now, let me take you to a more...
yes. It's okay. You can just finalize your point.
Let me finalize my point. A more objective way of measuring corruption
yes.
would be actually to look at how the country is ranked by countries like World Bank, International Development Authority, the fund that then gives money to poor countries. We are actually doing very well because if you look at it, we are actually on a very, very, according to the CPI scores, Kenya is actually doing well in countries that are in Africa because they look at the 16 development indicators in 4 areas: economic management, structural policies, policies for social inclusion and equity, and public sector management and institutions. Countries are rated on the scale of 1 low to 6 high for an indicator. The overall CPIA score reflects the average of the 4 areas of the CPIA. And Kenya is actually doing well in this.
Okay.
We are actually one of the leading countries that are doing institutional reforms in Africa. We are actually leading.
That's
we
good
are
news.
actually leading according to World Bank.
But this has not been
that
reported.
Is more objective. If you go to their website, they have got information. Okay. I want to urge Kenyans that it is time for us to begin to do research on our own. Because if you know that the media is actually in the pocket of a few politicians, we know that the media, 90% of the media is owned by a very small percentage, and we know that they've got business interests, and of course editorial policy is affected by who the advertisers think and the politicians, all these the owners. So I want to urge every Kenyan, the time for us to do research like never before is now. The time for us to begin to unearth the truth for ourselves is now. The time for us to begin to read history of our nation, understand exactly some of these people who want to make us fight each other. What is their history? Are they really speaking for the welfare of the common mwananchi, or they are actually advancing dynasties that were actually formed in the post-colonial Kenya?
Wow.
Yeah.
Danish, I would want to end the show by asking you to talk to the individual common mwananchi down there, and even to the cream who has taken that money or something of that sort, alleged or anything of that sort. What can be their call? Because we have a country and we have to guard our country.
Yes.
You know, of course, we're trying to expose all these things, but we're saying, listen, at the end of it all, Kenya still stands straight. Yes. Address this camera and talk to that Kenyan.
Yes. Fellow Kenyans, when the French were tired of the corruption that was happening in the monarchy, they stood up and they said enough is enough, and the French Revolution was born. I want to urge every Kenyan that corruption, yes, is extremely rampant, and corruption is as petty as you giving a cop 50 shillings on a traffic. I want to urge every Kenyan to be extremely vigilant. Do not give that petty crime. Do not give that petty bribe, because that is how it begins. But above all else, I want us to start reading. We must cultivate a culture of reading, not just educational papers, but we must begin to do independent research for us to understand exactly where our nation is in terms of the economic indicators, in terms of the social pillar of our Vision 2030, and in terms of the political pillar of our Vision 2030. We must begin to audit every single politician who comes to us to tell us that this and this and this is going on. Let us audit their names and find out if exactly they have any moral authority to talk about corruption, and yet they have got a corrupt cloud hang over their heads. Last but not least, let us pray for our leaders. Let us be optimistic about our nation. And let us fight to retain a country that we will be proud to inherit, we will be proud to hand over to our children. And thank you so much.
Danish Udongo, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. According to Danish, it is you and I that are responsible for the state of corruption that we have. Even the leaders that we have, it is you and I who are actually voting them in. Thank you so much, Danish, for coming in, and thank you so much for tuning in as well and being live on this station. Thank you so much. And the question is this: can you take that personal responsibility to say, you know what, I will not be corrupt? When you're on your own and your own self, and even if you have things that you've acquired that are actually out of stealing or corrupt deals, you know, surrender them back and everything, because at the end of it all, you shall leave them here. Thank you so much. On The Talk, we expose these things and we say we shall always be bold and candid. Thank you so much. See you next week.